Spaceship Earth, a vehicle, an exquisitely fragile machine which must be carefully maintained in order to function.
I was able to realize that humanity had arrived at some point of transformation, a great threshold crossing. That is, in view of the fact that all humans were born naked, absolutely helpless, ignorant, we obviously had to find our way, and we had to find our way by trial and error, gradually to discover that we have mind, that mind can discover principles, and the principles themselves are something that cannot be apprehended just by brains.
This is indeed a disturbing universe.
Hello, greetings, and welcome. Welcome to the Stereo 999 YouTube channel. I am your host, the artist formerly known as Stereo Steve. And in this vinyl community type video, I'm going to do a deep dive into a band that a lot of people consider to be a one-hit wonder. But I've always celebrated their whole catalog, more or less, so I thought I would get into it. The band is called Sugarloaf. They are best known for the song Green-Eyed Lady, and another song a few years later, Don't Call Us, We'll Call You. Recently, I was at a record store and I stumbled upon a rare item by them, a promotional box set that they sent out to promote their second album. And that was something I never thought I would ever find. I mean, I knew it existed, but so I'm gonna do an unboxing of that later on, and just to give it some context, I'm gonna do a little retrospective on the band. So without further ado, stick around, and we're gonna get right into it. Yes. Our story begins in the 60s, man. Our story begins in the prehistoric times of the 1960s in Denver, Colorado. A little band that calls themselves the Surfin' Classics. In a turn of events very similar to Spinal Tap, they then changed their name to the Classics and eventually decided, after reading some James Bond novels, to call themselves the Moonrakers. They made a few singles on the Tower label, including covers of Baby Please Don't Go and the Rolling Stones' I'm All Right. Members pertaining to Sugarloaf included Bob Weber on guitar, Bob McVitie on drums, Vitor Van Dorn on guitar, and then when they made their full-length album, keyboardist Jerry Corbetta joined the band. I do not own the Moonrakers record, but I do own this burned CD of the Moonrakers album. Some of the songs have a little bit of a Jesus hippie rock. Other tracks are definitely more 60s sounding. Anyway, so Jerry and the Bobs decided they were going to change direction, called their band Chocolate Hair, and they got a deal with Liberty Records, and Liberty Records said, "That's a terrible name," and they complied and changed their name to Sugarloaf, after the Sugarloaf Mountains in Colorado. And their first album contained their hit song Green-Eyed Lady, a long version. Some people bag on this record because about half of it is instrumental jams, but that's kind of the reason I like it, because it's got that, if you like that heavy organ and guitars 70s rock sound, this record is chock full of it. So you see there's Corbetta and 3 Bobs, and Van Dorn co-wrote the last song, Things Gonna Change Some, which almost gets into some proggy territory because it switches between a 5/4 time signature and a 3/4 time signature. So anyway, the first album by Sugarloaf. Of course, on the radio you heard the short version of Green Eyed Lady, which always drove me crazy because I was so used to hearing the long version of it. I do have a couple of short versions of Green Eyed Lady. One is on this K-Tel album, 20 Power Hits, which is from 1970. It's got the ad for the record selector. But there's some good tunes on this. And side 2 kicks off with Green Eyed Lady. I also have the short version of Green Eyed Lady on this thing I found in the thrift store. It's called Crank Up the Classic Rock. And it has an ad where you can send away for guitar picks. I don't think you can get the guitar picks anymore. But pretty solid selection of classic rock songs here. If it was up to me, I would probably leave out Styx and put the long version of Green Eyed Lady. But anyway. For their second album, the 4 members of Sugarloaf decided they needed something extra. They needed another guitarist who would also help with some songwriting. And so they got this gentleman, Bob Yeasel, to join the band. He was very briefly in the West Coast pop art experimental band, LA kind of wacky psychedelic band. He wrote one song on this album, The Child's Guide to Good and Evil. He wrote a song called Watch Yourself. I do want to talk about this record just for a second because most copies of this album, the songs are in a different order on the record than they are listed on the cover. But this is a bootleg which actually has the songs in the order that's listed on the cover. And I gotta say, it works a little bit better. It works a little bit better. Okay, so Yeasel was also in this band Beast, which I talked about in another video. They made 2 albums. Before he passed away, Yeasel had a website where he was selling sealed copies of the Beast albums in the early 2000s, and that's where I got these from. So then, the second Sugarloaf album with the 5-member lineup of the band. The album was called Spaceship Earth. And it was sort of kind of a concept album about saving the world and the environment. I mean, not every song complied to the formula, but it was considered enough of a concept that they sent a box set out to radio stations and to the press, which had a bunch of swag in it relating to environmental concerns, etc., etc. Okay, well, Bob Yeasel's website is long gone, but I managed to find it on the Wayback Machine. The promotional box set for the Spaceship Earth LP was an elaborate one. It came with several items unavailable elsewhere, including the poster of the group on Sugarloaf Mountain. Also included in the promo box were all of the items shown below. The box had a special die cut for viewing the band members' faces on the front of the LP. Along with the Sugarloaf card calendar shown with the set at bottom right, you also received a poster calendar for the year 1971. The album cover is pictured to the right of August on the poster. And that's what you will see unboxed in 3, 2, 1. Alright, well, Sugarloaf, Spaceship Earth. This is their second album, and this is kind of something I thought I would never ever actually find, and it was at Amoeba, and I grabbed it. This was a promotional box set that they sent, I think, to radio stations. You hear the rain? It's got some kind of hippie ecology swag in this box set because the album was kind of a concept album about, you know, saving the earth and the environment because they were from Colorado. So I've seen pictures of this on the website, but I've never actually seen one of these before. We're going to unbox this sucker ever so carefully. Let's see what we got. Okay, so the first thing is this flyer here. Okay, so I guess this is band bio. And it's got the picture of the band. As more and more rock groups emerge on today's already overly crowded musical world, it becomes obvious that to ensure success, more is needed than just talent or good breaks. Yeah, payola. So anyway, let's see what we got here. Review for Buckminster Fuller's Operation Manual for Spaceship Earth. Sugarloaf's new album, Spaceship Earth, was inspired by Buckminster Fuller's futuristic novel of the same name. To bring everything into total perspective, it is essential that you be aware of what Spaceship Earth is all about. Those are good pictures of the band there. Bob Yeasel, he was in the band Beast, and he was also in West Coast pop art very briefly. Okay, alright, we're going to open this box set now. Let's see. Pollution Past and Present Wheel. Sticker on the back. Earth and water pollutants, crude oil, mercury, detergents, radioactive. Global warming. See, we knew in 1971, we knew what we were doing to the earth, but, you know, greed, right? Let's see what else is in this. Wow. 1971 calendar. That'd be handy in case you're in a time machine. What else? Oh my God. Let's see. I'm guessing this is a big poster of the band. Oh, this is a big 1971 hippie calendar. Wow, that is cool. That is brilliant. Let's see what else. Let's see if I can fold this. Pine tree seeds. Grow a tree. Okay, let's see. When World Health Ecology News. Health is our most important project. Wow, this is a trip. This is more plant stuff. What are these? It's like pine needles, I guess from the same pine tree. That's handy. Ringleman scale for grading the density of smoke. The present day versions is like that. What else? Display your ecology flag by placing it on the window of your car or home. Let's see now. Oh yeah. We're going full hippie. Save the damn world, man. Okay. And it looked like a little burn, but it's actually the guy's hair. So here's. All right. I don't mess this up. Right. Sugarloaf poster. And last but not least, an actual copy of the album. Wow, this is pretty mint too. Wow. Okay. Let's see. Wow, that's a clean copy. Alright, so that's what the holes in the box set were for. That's cool. Okay, so back to Spaceship Earth. Some of these, the inner sleeve is printed in brown ink with the lyrics. Some of them, they're printed with black ink. This is a German pressing. You can tell because it's got that more kind of glossy, flimsy kind of stock for the cover. And it's got this sticker that says Electric Rock. The title track is an instrumental that's really cool. It gets really psychedelic with backwards piano and a little bit of progginess. There's also Mother Nature's Wine, I think was one of the singles, and also the song Tongue in Cheek, which is the long jam at the end of the album. And they released an edited version of Tongue in Cheek as a single. It's a pretty weird edit, because not only is it just very awkwardly chopped and sliced and diced down to 3 minutes, but it's a totally different guitar solo than the take that's on the album. It's got a custom label. A couple years later, they made an album called I Got a Song, which predates and is a better song than I Write the Songs. Similar concept. Again, with an edited version on a 7-inch 45. And I Got a Song came out on the Brute record label, which I believe was a tax write-off for Brute Aftershave. And song was not a hit. It didn't do that well. Okay, and this album is not on Spotify, but there is a live album on Spotify, which has some of these tracks. Okay, so they were trying to get a record deal with CBS, and it fell through, and they wrote a song about it in 1974. They wrote a song called Don't Call Us, We'll Call You, which has the sound of a touch-tone phone dialing. And according to the urban legend, the first time they're dialing the phone, it's CBS, and the second time they're dialing the phone, they're calling the White House. Anyway, here's 2 copies of the single. A white label promo and a stock red label copy of it. Yeah, man. I feel you, man. I feel you, man. Oh, going through the vortex. There's a B-side, which is a pretty good song, called Texas Two-Lane. And the B-side is not on the album, but the B-side is on this Best of Sugarloaf CD, which is not too difficult to find. It has Round and Round, Myra Myra, Wild Child, and Easy Evil off the I Got a Song album. And it's got both sides of the Don't Call Us, We'll Call You and Texas Two-Lane single, plus complete versions of Tongue in Cheek and Green Eyed Lady, and their cover of the band's Chest Fever, which is pretty great. So now we're at the Don't Call Us, We'll Call You album, which was released in 1975. But, these titles look familiar. Yep, it turns out that they recycled the I Got a Song album, and they swapped out one track. They pulled out Easy Evil and replaced it with Don't Call Us, We'll Call You. So it's pretty much the same album with this different cover. That's a cool cover. It took me a long time to find this. I cannot believe how long it took me to find this. But then it took me a long time to find that box set, and I wasn't even looking for it. Alrighty then, well, that was my video. That was my deep dive into Sugarloaf. Thank you very much for watching, and you know it would be just fantastic if you could give it a thumbs up, if you could subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment, you know, like those rock retrospective. Where were you when you were rocking out to Green Eyed Lady back in the day? You know, blah 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 blah. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and peace.
That's it. I'm getting out of here.